everybody. Welcome to High Spots. You just got me this week because my co-host Ant is otherwise detained, basically prior obligations that he couldn't get out of. So it had been a while since you had one of these sites. I figured you should probably get one. So welcome to the show. Yeah, there we go. Notifications. Yeah, have that stuff in the background in case anything major breaks. It's always a good thing to do. To help support us and all our shows, you can check out our Patreon. Here you go. Link is in the description below. All the different shows are on here, and you get different things for different pledges and perks, behind the scenes content, shout outs, extra shows, and more. You can contact us on social media. We have a Twitter, which is here, and Instagram, which is here. To contact this particular program, anything to do with this particular show on those social medias, hashtag HighSpots, and it'll bring it to my attention. Cool. Right. I mean, all that stuff. Obviously, we've had a fair bit going while I've been away. So what I'm going to do is start off with probably one of the most significant things that happened, probably, I would say, particularly as a British wrestling fan. And that would be Sakura Genesis for New Japan, where there was 2 title changes. Orogi Pong 3K, I should say, correction, became the Junior World Tag Team Champions. Wow. That's good for them. And the biggest thing, of course, that happened was the Intercontinental and IWGP titles got merged into one title, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which now has a new owner. Because Kota Ibushi lost his match at Sakura Genesis to Will Ospreay, which kind of surprising in all honesty, but it was interesting to see what happens. So we'll go through the Sakura Genesis results for anyone who doesn't know. So if you do not want to know the rest of the results, and I've kind of spoiled for you if you already haven't seen it yet, but it was a while ago, to be fair, so you probably should have seen it by now. Okay. Suzuki-gun defeated the Bullet Club. Big fan of that. Don't like the Bullet Club. Everyone knows this. This was a 6-man tag team match. The next match was Chaos. That was a 10-man tag, and they defeated the Bullet Club. Yay, Chaos! This match also included Atsushi Okada. Never a bad thing, like watching Okada. Okay. Let's see. The third match on the show was the United Empire, which is the Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Aaron Hiroki. They defeated Los Ingles de Noble Japan, which is Naito, Sanada, and Tagagi. Then we had the fourth match, which was just a straightforward tag team match, which is Komija and Tanahashi defeated the Bullet Club with Jay White and Bad Luck Farley. Now, a few people would be upset by White losing, and being one of them. White is his favourite wrestler. And the last 2 matches were the ones we all discussed, which was the title changes, double junior match and then the IWGP World Heavyweight title match. I am interested to see what happens with Ospreay going forwards as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. I think this could be a very good thing for him. And I like the fact that he's got it as well because, should bring some big interest to wrestlers outside of America. Always a good thing. Japan have always been very good at promoting these sort of wrestlers, so I think that should definitely work out very well for them. Very big fan. Okay. Right. And Tom Latimer defeated The End, which is Odin, Sun, and Powell. This was by a referee decision. Make of that what you like. Matthew Mims and Slice Boogie defeated the War Kings, which is Crimson and Jack Stain. And the last match, there was only 3 matches on this particular edition of Power, was for the World Television title, where the title was retained by Elijah Burke, who defeated Fred Rose. So, cool. Right. I will go to Impact now, but I'm going to leave the very last thing for Impact because it sort of works with the AEW stuff, so we'll get to that in a minute. We had Sacrifice take place, which is essentially a TV special for them. It's not really a pay-per-view as such. We had TJP lose the X Division title to Ace Austin. Fairly decent match, just what you'd expect from the 2 of them. The World Tag Team Champions in Impact are no longer the Good Brothers. It's Dave Finlay and Juice Robinson. I still try and call him his dad. I don't know why, but Dave Finlay and Juice Robinson are the champions. And there was the title unification match between the TNA and the Impact World titles. So Rich Swann defeated Moose to unify these belts. Okay. And that leads to the fact of at the next Impact pay-per-view, which is Rebellion, Rich Swann will face Kenny Omega in a title for title match. So the AEW World title is on the line, as is the Impact World title. Should be interesting. Let's see what happens with that. But this brings me, because we mentioned Omega, to the boring club. Bullet Club. No, they are boring. Let's be honest. This needs to stop. I say this all the time. It's so bad. It's not even interesting. And the worst people in this angle is the Young Bucks. Because I think they can do so much better than what they're doing. It's just bad. It's terrible. Please stop. It's not good. But let's just get rid of that because, yeah, let's put that in the background, right? So, with the TNT champion Darby Allin, I'm going to go to now. Finally, Darby's managed to escape from the Team Taz lock-in feud. Wasn't a bad feud, but it didn't really help with the title. So now he's having open challenges, which he faced JD Drake. There we go. Had to remember his name there for a minute. M1. I mean, Drake's not that well known to most people, but is well regarded in independent promotions. It was a fairly decent match. Darby was always winning. You could kind of tell. But it looked good, and it did a good job for Drake, so I think that always works very well. Darby's most recent TNT title defense was a Falls Count Anywhere match against Matt Hardy. I imagine a lot of people had horrifying moments here because they remembered Hardy versus Guevara from the pay-per-view where Hardy fell and hit his head, and they probably thought something similar was going to happen here. One, this show was taped, so I think that was probably quite smart, just in case. But there was no need to worry from, as far as I can tell, it went off flawlessly. And he did a very, very good job, did old Matt Hardy. Especially considering just a couple of days beforehand, Matt Hardy's father passed away. Can't have been easy for him to take part, but he did it all. He gave his credit. Also, with this match, they both came out by themselves with no people, but get about 5-10 minutes into this match, that didn't last. What happened eventually at that point was Hardy's people came out, which was this is the Hardy Home Office. There you go. That's a tongue twister. And to counteract that, out came the Dark Order of Sting. I can't do it as well as Shivani, so bear that in mind. And but eventually everyone got smacked away from the ring. But something that did sort of tie into this, but we'll come back to it in a minute, is Sting was helping it. Now, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page were going to back jump Sting. This was prevented by Lance Archer, who basically just told them to fuck off, and they did. So, which was kind of funny. No, I'm not going to lie. Archer responded by beating hell out Private Party in front of Sting, and then just leaving there, and then just walked off, leaving Sting in the ring with Private Party. Sting proceeds to beat the hell out Private Party, but eventually everyone else just disappeared out of the way, and you got back to having BS concentrate solely on Darby and Hardy. And these two guys did very well with this match. They did some fun chair stuff, some fun spots. Finally, though, the match ended with the first time ever, and this is a big one, the AEW announce table got destroyed. It hadn't happened before. This was the first time. Darby coffin dropped Matt Hardy through this table to win the match. Well done. So Hardy keeps his belt. I think Hardy will be very good going forward with this. I can see this being quite helpful as well. Let's see. We have the Team Taz thing going on. We have friction between Brian Cage. That I knew that I was going to do that at some point. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks kind of niggling each other is probably the best way of putting it, and Taz trying to quell it down. Taz offered a spot in the in team test to Christian Cage, who said, "No, it's all right. No, I'm good." And they proceeded to go back at each other with a very funny promo. But this week in Dynamite, as a result, we have Christian Cage against Will Hobbs. I think this should be very interesting, and I think this is one of the best uses of Christian is to help get these lesser-known talents over. So I think this should be a very good match. I look forward to seeing it. It should be fun. I think Hobbs is very talented, and I think someone like Christian could really help Hobbs. So I much appreciate that from Christian. Willing to work with these guys, I think it should be very useful. And two things which I kind of like, to be honest. It looks like Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford have gone missing. Apparently, the reason for Full Game missing is she had a bad reaction to makeup, so that's why she's not been on TV. But the Kip Sabian seems to have disappeared, which seems to mean we're going to get Miro Unleashed. So I think that will be interesting, and I think that's very much an imperial thing for Darby Allin, because I think Miro's target will probably be that TNT title that he currently holds. He essentially just told people, if you hold a title in AEW, run. in this promo he did, he was very good and very menacing, which is what you want from Miro. But another thing that's tied into this is this happened as a result of the Arcade Anarchy match, which was won by Cassidy and Taylor. This match marks the return of two people I was very glad to see come back. Trent, which is the other half of Best Friends, so Chuck and Trent are back together. And the return of a female wrestler who I was so glad to see return, because I really liked her, and it was a shame the injury kept her out for so long, and that's Chris Statlander. And of course, on top of that, she's leaned up a bit, and she's changed her look a bit as well, and I think it really works for her as well. I saw a match she had the other day, very impressive. I was very happy. This is what I want to see from Statlander, so I think she might end up being thrown into that title picture as well now. You've also got Britt Baker, who's not my favourite of wrestlers. I happily admit this. She cut a great promo. I just don't like her attacking the ranking system. I think it's weird you do that, mainly because there is some real criticism you can have with this ranking system. It makes sense of a heel if you're attacking it if it's flawless, because then you are just being heel. I kind of look at it this way when she's doing it at the moment. I'm like, but she's got a point. Why should I moan at her? She's actually got a point here. It's kind of weird to me, but she does seem to have got better. She's also been making wrestling appearances on Elevation as well as Dark to boost herself up the rankings, because she's a bit better. She said, I'm going to play the game and see what happens. So I think she's probably going to go up the rankings. The top contender for the AEW women's title at the present is actually Ty Conti. Big fan of Ty Conti. Love Ty Conti. In recent weeks, of course, she's been tagging with the women's world champion, which is Shida. But this Wednesday on Dynamite, you are going to see them face each other. I am all in for this. I want to see this. I think it should be great. I'd like to see Conti win. I don't think she's going to, though. It will be a shame. But this women's division seems to be getting stronger now, because you've got Thunder Rosa, you've got Britt Baker, you've got Statlander, you've got Conti, and you've got Shida. And the whole bunch of other wrestlers who can come in and out, but you've got a solid foundation that you can work on, and it can go much better. I'm all in for this. I want to see this. It's a good start. And there's been a lot of people who've criticised AEW's women's division. Okay. And is the criticism justified? Probably yes. But here's the thing. You have to remember when people make these criticisms, WWE took over 50 years to get this stuff remotely right. So Rome wasn't built in a day and all that. I think AEW seems to be getting there a lot quicker, which is not a bad thing. Do I want to see more high-profile women's feuds and stuff involved? Absolutely, I do. But at the same time, it shouldn't just be there because it's a women's feud. It should be there because it's important and we are invested in it. The same with the men's stuff, to be fair. It should work both ways. As long as I'm invested in your story and what you're showing me, I'm in. Simple as that. Don't necessarily have to like you, but if you can keep my attention, keep me engaged, I will give you the benefit and see where you go, which I think is a good thing. This also brings up the Sting and Lance Archer thing, because him and Jake Roberts interrupted the Sting promo segment. And Sting pretty much turned around and told Archer, yeah, he agrees that you should have more time, you should have more chances, and kind of left Archer and Roberts stumped. I think Sting was right to say what he said, but it's weird. I can't see where it's going, but I am interested to see what's going, especially because after this is when you had what happened in the Darby Allin match with Sting and Archer. So I'll be curious to see where they go. It may end up leading to a match between the two. I wouldn't be against that. I think, however, it may need to be cinematic again, possibly in that place where Archer did the vignette where he beat up all those men. I think that could be quite interesting if you did it that way. But if Sting's up to an actual in-ring wrestling match, then I'm fine with that too. You know, it's just whatever works and is safe for him to do. But I'm not opposed to seeing Archer versus Sting because I think Archer will go over, and I think Sting will make him look really good, which I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Archer. So this is a thing where I'm not quite sure where it's going, but I'm curious, which I think works. So yeah, get me invested. Either make me curious or get me really excited. Both work for me, in all honesty. If you want me to be invested in your stuff, get me curious and get me excited. Either one will work as a person. Then you have, of course, the lovely people of the Nightmare Factory, which has now been split in two following the special match between Cody and QT Marshall, which basically ended when QT Marshall and three of the people broke away from the Nightmare Factory and attacked the other people. These people being, obviously, you've got QT Marshall was one of them. The others are Nick Comoroto, who was in NXT once upon a time, but good luck if you remember that. Aaron Solo. Well, again, some people know Aaron Solo for something outside of his in-ring ability, but he's a very good tag wrestler. Once upon a time, he was also tag partners with Ricky Starks. So that may help a few people. But probably best known, unfortunately, for being Bayley's ex-boyfriend, as in WWE Bayley. Right, so... And the other person in this lineup is Anthony Ogogo, which for people in this country, Anthony Ogogo is basically he was an Olympian boxer, kickboxer, stuff like that. So he's good for where he was, absolutely. But I think the point of this particular faction, which is not, they now call themselves the Factory, these four people. I believe the point of this faction isn't to get QT over. I think it's to get the other three people over in this faction. And I think that is definitely the way this should go. Because these three people are all very talented. I've seen them perform a lot on Dark, for example. QT, obviously not Anthony Ogogo, because he didn't debut until recently on Dynamite. I don't like Gogo's finisher. I think it's a bit weird. But it may end up working out. I don't know. But I'm curious to see where it goes. So I think it will be very interesting to see what happens with it. Oh, damn. But yeah, I think it's pretty much covers most of the major stuff that's currently going on. Obviously, this usually will go on a bit longer, these shows, when we have Ant here to discuss and talk things over. But I'm not going to just drag this out and prolong it because it's just me, because there's no point in that. But obviously, if you guys have any feedback about any of this stuff, just let me know and I'll get back to you. But I think I've covered everything major I can think of. Oh, yeah. One last thing when it comes to Dynamite. Dynamite, obviously, from last Wednesday onwards, is now unopposed. There's no NXT running up against it now. So it seems to have changed the viewing figures. NXT, I will touch upon this because it's relevant. I did so on 50/50 yesterday. NXT had 800,000 fans watching it, which I think was a great result. But this definitely seems to have helped AEW Dynamite, which last week's show was 1.2 million viewers. This is a good start. Hopefully that keeps up and keeps going. But we'll see what happens. Okay, and with that, people, I will let you go, and we'll be back soon. Bye-bye.